He proceeded to tell me that he would kill me if I told on him. He told me exactly what he did to Mr. Robertson. He told me that Mr. Robertson begged for his life.
Welcome to another episode, everyone. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. In here, we're getting into Texas rapper fresh from prison kills mom of 3, husband and barber in deadly revenge. Let's continue.
And that the only thing he was worried about was that he was on tether.
Arlington police are still looking for the person responsible for shooting and killing 3 people in an apartment complex last night. Police say young children witnessed the shooting.
I've been over here 3 years and never had any issues ever, not once. So it's really scary.
It was callous, it was heinous, and it was ruthless.
On January 25th, 2024, police responded to a quiet apartment complex in Arlington, Texas. Inside, they discovered 3 bodies, 2 children who witnessed everything, and a suspect who had been free from prison for just 6 weeks. 6 weeks. He was a convicted murderer, took someone's life when he was 17, sentenced to 11 years, served about 9, and walked out like nothing happened. But here's what makes this case different. While he was locked up, he assaulted his cellmate and then went on Facebook Live to brag about it. In Texas, that can be a felony. And yet, no new charges, no extra time, nothing. So the question isn't how did a murderer kill again? The question is why the system left the door open. Why was he out at all? Why only 9 years for murder? And why did they ignore a recorded felony that could have kept him locked up? We'll get back to the sentencing details, but first you need to see the pattern. Because 3 people are dead, and this isn't the first time Texas has watched warning signs and still let a violent offender walk, not even close. When you hear what happened decades ago, you'll start to wonder if anything really changed. By the end of this video, you'll know the red flags to look for when cases like this hit the news, so you can recognize when the system is failing before another family loses someone they love. You're watching Hidden Crime Network.
I really need him to explain why. I feel like they slapped him on the wrist and told him, okay, go to timeout, and when timeout is over with, you just come back here. It doesn't fix me. It doesn't fix my family.
Texas, the Lone Star State, known for barbecue, oil, and cowboys, but also known for something darker, one of the highest incarceration rates in the country. Texas loves the tough-on-crime branding, harsh sentences, big prisons, no mercy. At least that's the marketing. But here's the part nobody puts on the billboard. When the system gets overwhelmed, when prisons are packed and agencies are juggling cases like it's hot potato, Texas has a history of quietly doing the exact opposite of tough. They start letting dangerous people back out. And we've seen how badly that can go. Back in the late 1980s, Texas prisons were so overcrowded, the feds basically said, "Fix this now." So Texas starts pushing people out in huge numbers. And in that wave, one name should have set off every alarm in the building: Kenneth McDuff, the broomstick killer. McDuff was a convicted triple murderer. Texas let him out anyway, and then, surprise, he killed again and again and again. Parole violations piled up, red flags everywhere, and the system still didn't slam the door until it was too late.
And of course, this is why people end up getting tough on crime and wanting people to get a very long time for nearly any crime that they commit. And they blame it on the system, or they blame it on the system letting individuals out who are still dangerous, who have not been rehabilitated according to the public. And then they get out and commit more heinous crimes and, making it tough for everyone else that's in prison.
After that, Texas promised reforms,
known as the McDuff Laws, and swears never again.
Fast forward to December 2023, Texas did it again, and this time it happened in Arlington with a hardened killer named Larry Dwayne Reed.
Larry Dwayne Reed walks out of a Texas Department of Criminal Justice facility on December 13, 2023.
Not because his case got overturned, not because somebody proved he was innocent, because the system said his time was up. He pleaded guilty in 2014 to the 2012.
His time was up. Now you could argue that why did he get 11 years? But his time was up, so they had to let him go. He did 9 years out of 11. That's most of the time, more than 85%. I mean, and he probably got 11 years. Maybe they didn't have enough evidence on the case. He pled guilty. This sort of stuff right here. There had to have been mitigating circumstances. He was 17 years old, and whatever else there may have been as to why he got an 11-year sentence as opposed to a higher sentence. But he did his time and got out. I'm still interested to know why he allegedly attacked, and murdered these 3 people. Oh, let's see, man.
Shooting death of 18-year-old Obeth Hernandez at a house party. Reed was 17 at the time, and a 21-year-old was also wounded in that same incident. He was sentenced to 11 years. He served about 9, and then he was back outside. Now, if this story was only about an early release, it would still be upsetting. But it's not only that. Because while Reed was still locked up, there was a moment years earlier where the system had an extra chance to keep him in. In March 2021, investigators say Reed assaulted his cellmate, beating him while he was on the ground. And then, Reed allegedly used a contraband cell phone to go on Facebook Live and brag about the attack from inside prison. A contraband phone in Texas can be a felony, punishable by years, and paired with an assault allegation, that's not a minor incident, that's a warning sign with a timestamp on it. According to the chain described in reports, TDCJ investigated. The case was referred to the Office of Inspector General and then to the Special Prosecution Unit. But then nothing happened that added time. No criminal charges filed, just administrative discipline. So when Reed walked out in December 2023, he wasn't walking out as a guy who did his time and learned his.
So now you're going to blame it on the fact that he didn't get more time for a cell phone or a prison fight or a prison beating of his cellie? That's prison. That happens all the time in prison. Cell phones, fights, beatings, killings, stabbings.
Lesson. He was walking out with a documented pattern that, if it had been prosecuted, could have kept him incarcerated into January 2024. And that's the part people can't get past because it turns into a simple, brutal timeline. Released December 13th, and 6 weeks later, January 25th, 2024, police are walking into an apartment in Arlington and finding 3 bodies.
The video is from March 2021 and recently shared with WFAA. Larry Reed is seen gloating, shirtless, over his cellmate in prison as he writhes in pain on the ground. Texas prison officials say Reed had just beat up his cellmate and live-streamed some of it to Facebook via an illegal cell phone. Reed serving an 11-year sentence for murder when this video was taken.
The ball got dropped.
Sherry Siegelin spent 17 years as a correctional officer in the Texas prison system and says having a cell phone in prison is a third-degree felony, punishable by 2 to 10 years in jail.
Now here's the hinge before we move to the innocent victims. After Larry Reed walked out, life in Arlington was moving the way it always does. Work, errands, dinner plans, kids needing attention, somebody trying to squeeze in one more appointment before the night ends. And inside one apartment, that normal looked like a family. Monique Glenn was 29, a caregiver at Bethesda Gardens Assisted Living, one of those jobs where you spend your whole day taking care of people, then you come home and you're still taking care of people. Co-workers described her as warm, full of laughter, the type who could change the mood in a room without even trying. At home, Monique wasn't just a victim in a story. She was a mom, 3 kids, a house that had the little signs of a real life, music she liked, plans for the next day, the normal chaos that comes with being responsible for everyone. And that night, 2 children were inside that apartment, not sleeping safely through the night, present, old enough to remember. Her husband, Jarrell Glenn, 31, was in that same space too. Family described him as a devoted father, involved with his kids. But Jarrell had layers, and some of those layers carried risk. Online, he projected money and status, things that don't just attract attention, they attract pressure. And Jarrell had a past that made it clear his world could turn dangerous fast. In 2019, he'd been arrested and charged with capital murder connected to the fatal shooting of Brian Veramontes during a recording session at an Arlington apartment. By 2020, Jarrell was free. What happened in that case isn't clear publicly, but the point is Jarrell wasn't living far from violence. It was around the edges of his life. And
man, he's showing about $300. And even when he had the 20s, I know the dude ain't rent. So looks like it's heading to this dude saw these posts online with him flashing all of this money, as he said, flashing what money? Flashing this $300 he flashing his money. And so you went into his apartment or his home or what have you with his children in there for that and took him out. His wife took her out. Thank goodness you didn't harm the children. And then took out someone else, I guess, that was here.
then there's Shannon Jones. Shannon was 29, a mobile barber, hardworking, booked, trying to grow something. He'd been cutting hair since he was a kid, and just 2 months before his death, he'd officially licensed his barbering business. His mother, Paula Johnson, described him as someone who gave back, free cuts for kids, for single-parent families, a proud father himself, a 5-year-old son, and a 2-month-old daughter. On January 25th, Shannon was doing what he always did, moving from place to place, handling appointments. The Arlington apartment was just another stop, a routine visit. He wasn't showing up for conflict. He wasn't walking into a situation. He was coming to cut hair. And that's what makes what happened next so sickening, because the people inside that apartment were in life mode, not survival mode. And then, neighbors would later describe hearing a loud sound, like someone kicking in a door.
If you're watching this and thinking this should have been prevented, then comment "preventable" and let me know who you think should be held accountable for the flop leading to this tragedy.
The state of Texas failed us.
It started with a sound that doesn't belong in a quiet family complex. And then gunshots, fast, close together. The kind of sound that makes people freeze for half a second before they even realize they're moving. Around 8:33 p.m., Arlington police officers responded to reports of gunfire at the Chatham Green Village Apartments on Chatham Green Lane. When they got there, they walked into a scene that was already beyond saving. 3 adults had been shot. 2 children were inside that apartment. The kids were physically unharmed, but they witnessed everything. According to police reports and witness accounts pieced together from multiple sources, investigators believe Larry Reed forced his way into the apartment. The loud noise neighbors heard was that violent entry into what should have been a safe space. Once inside, Reed allegedly shot Jarrell Glenn first, hitting him in the leg during what police described as a disagreement between the 2 men. But it didn't stop at one shot. As Jarrell lay wounded, Reed allegedly continued firing, multiple gunshot wounds, the kind that turn an argument into an execution. Jarrell was still alive when first responders arrived, but he later died at the hospital. Monique Smith Glenn was found inside the apartment with a gunshot wound to the neck. She was pronounced dead at the scene. And Shannon Jones, who had shown up with clippers for a routine haircut, was found in the doorway. That detail is haunting because it suggests he may have tried to get out when the shooting started, or he may have been arriving into the chaos at the worst possible second. Either way, he never had a chance. And through all of this, 2 kids were there, watching adults panic, watching bodies fall, watching the kind of violence that rewires a child's brain. They were later released to family members, but physically unharmed.
Yeah, watching their, not just adults flying and dying, but apparently their parents, watching their mother and father go through this. Dramatic. Obviously, they'll never be the same. Wow. I mean, argue for a minute, hit him in the leg, and then just kept on dumped him out, hit an old girl, rest in peace to all of them, in the neck. And then, like he's, however, old boy was, whether he was coming in or leaving, bad situation. You know, the worst timing ever, man. He's just a barber. He's just there trying to cut hair and make a few bucks, make an honest living, just pulling up to somebody, a mobile barber, pulling up to somebody's house, his client to cut hair. And get caught up in this nonsense. Dude gunned him down. Damn, why you kill him? Why you killing everybody up in there? Why you kill a wife? Why you kill her?
Doesn't mean okay. Not after that. After the shooting, Reed fled the scene. Witnesses reported seeing a man in black clothing running from the area. Police said nothing appeared to have been stolen, which pointed away from robbery. Instead, investigators indicated they found evidence they described as high-risk drug activity at the scene, suggesting this was targeted, not random. And here's where the outrage comes back, because we're right back to the same question. How does someone with a murder conviction, someone who allegedly broadcast violence from inside prison, end up free long enough to walk into a family's home and do this? Within days, Arlington police had identified Larry Reed as their primary suspect. And once they had his name, the manhunt began.
At 9:04 this morning, we're learning about new developments in a triple murder that happened at the Chatham Green Apartments in Arlington last week. Arlington police now have an active warrant for this man. His name is Larry Reed.
We believe that the incident occurred due to high-risk drug activity.
Nearby, a neighbor says his wife and daughter heard the gunshots.
They heard a loud noise, a couple of pops, pop, 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 and it was very loud.
But police...
After that apartment became a crime scene, the only person who could answer for it was gone. And with 3 innocent people dead and 2 children who witnessed it, this wasn't a case where investigators could afford to take their time. Detectives worked tips from the community and built the identification fast. The name they kept landing on was the same, Larry Dwayne Reed. Once that name surfaced publicly, the tone changed. This went from investigation to warning. The U.S. Marshals got involved and asked for the public's help, warning that Reed should be considered armed and dangerous. They also noted he had ties to Mississippi, meaning he might already be out of state. On February 2, 2024, Arlington police issued a warrant for Reed's arrest on capital murder charges. And now it's a race, because the longer he's free, the higher the risk that this violence doesn't end with just one apartment.
This was a senseless crime, and we want the suspect to know that the Arlington Police Department is going to do everything that we can to find you, and we will locate you, and we will bring the justice to the family.
With Mississippi now on the radar, the manhunt widened. Local police, federal partners, and the marshals working the same goal: find Reed before he disappears again. And then the break came. On February 6, 2024, investigators tracked him to a residence in the 800 block of Central Street in Greenville, Mississippi. Officers surrounded the property and announced their presence, and Reed didn't come out. According to reports, he tried to hide up in the attic. For a moment, it's almost surreal. The man Arlington police say walked into an apartment and left 3 innocent people dead, reduced to hiding above someone's ceiling, hoping the noise outside goes away. But it didn't. After a call-out procedure, Reed eventually surrendered without incident. He was taken into custody at the Washington County Jail in Mississippi and held for extradition. And while families in Arlington were trying to process the brutal reality of what happened in that apartment, the system was already moving him back, step by step, toward Texas, where he would face capital murder charges. Reed is back in custody, but the arrest isn't the ending, because the real question in this case is accountability. Not how did he do it? Where could the system have stopped him on paper?
He gonna keep going back to that. Gonna blame it on the system time and time again, blame it on the system letting individuals out, when many individuals get out, shall we say, and do right, they are assets to the community. They contribute to society in a positive way. So let's not paint everyone in prison with the same brush and, make it seem like everyone who gets out of prison early or on good behavior or what have you is going to get out and commit 3 homicides. That's just not reality. Most people, particularly these days, they get out of prison, they're staying out. They don't want to go back.
Before it ever reached that apartment. Here's the part that matters. The 2021 prison incident didn't vanish at the first step. It was investigated and it was referred to the Office of Inspector General and the Special Prosecution Unit.
A Texas Department of Criminal Justice official told our news desk Reed illegally had a cell phone, that an investigation was done and sent to the Office of Inspector General, who would build a case for the agency's Special Prosecution Unit, which tries crimes behind bars. But an official for that unit told us it never received a case involving Reed ever, signaling the investigation never made it beyond the Office of the Inspector General. Reed had a flat discharge last December. The homicides took place the following month.
I don't know, I'm almost at a loss for words. To me, it just doesn't make sense. That's a black eye for the agency.
We've contacted the Office of Inspector General several times asking for more information about this incident, and we are still waiting to hear back.
That file went quiet, and 6 weeks after Reed's release, 3 innocent people were dead. And now we're left with a community trying to make sense of a tragedy that didn't have to be this easy. The shock of a triple killing doesn't end when the suspect is caught.
And who knows why they didn't charge him with a cellular phone and a beat down inside of the cell. Again, could be various reasons for that. That the system is overcrowded. They don't really have room, even in the court system, to be trying to prosecute a cell phone or even a beat down in prison. They've seen worse. We all have, as it relates to what happens on these yards and inside of these cells, inside of prison. Some of them are extremely violent. So, I'm just saying, because he keeps going back to that. But whatever the case, if he had did 10 more years, without some sort of rehabilitation or some sort of help, apparently, he was going to do the same thing.
It spreads outward, into families, into coworkers, into a community that has to wake up the next morning and pretend life is normal when it isn't. For Shannon Jones's family, the grief came with a rage that's hard to even put into words, because he wasn't part of any conflict. He was a working father who showed up for a routine haircut appointment and never made it home. And when his loved ones spoke, they didn't just talk about loss, they talked about the state. They said Texas failed them because Reed had already been given what felt like a light outcome for the first murder.
I just don't know where to go from here.
Jones's mother says the news of the arrest was a slight sigh of relief.
I was worried that if he did that, what else is he gonna do? Is he gonna come here for us?
Reed is extradited back to Texas. He's facing capital murder charges. On paper, that sounds like the system finally taking it as seriously as it should. But here's the part that's frustrating and honestly unsettling. After the arrest and extradition, public updates go quiet. No clear trial date announcements, no public plea deal reports, no conviction headline, no sentencing update. It's like the case drops into the legal system's black hole while families are still living in the aftermath. Now, to be fair, capital murder cases can move painfully slow. Evidence, experts, motions, jury selection, months of court, and years of appeals if there's a conviction. That's real. But the silence still leaves the same bitter feeling the whole case has carried from the start. A system that moves fast when it's too late, and slow or not at all when people are begging for answers. And that's why this doesn't feel like a one-off. It feels like a pattern. Texas has seen versions of this pattern before, not the same names, but the same weakness. When the system treats a violent warning sign as internal instead of criminal, the calendar keeps moving toward a release date.
So here are the real red flags from this story, the ones you can actually recognize in future cases. Referred doesn't mean charged. When you hear it was referred to OIG or SPU or prosecutors, the only question that matters is, did it become a criminal case that added time? If the answer is no, that referral might have changed nothing. Administrative punishment is not public safety time. Reports say Reed's incident led to discipline, but discipline doesn't extend a sentence the way a felony charge can. That's a system choice, not a mystery. Release math is the story. Always separate sentence from time served. If someone gets 11 and serves about 9, don't stop at the outrage. Ask what credits, what eligibility, what decision points made that possible. That's where the system hides its real rules. When alleged evidence is loud, but the...
It's not hiding any rules. You get out, it's an incentive to do right in prison, to curb the violence, that, you do a certain amount of your time. Some people do 50%, half time, 65%, 85% in California. That's what it is these days. I mean, you get 11 years, some people would do 5 years of that. 9 years of an 11-year sentence, that's a lot. So it's not like he skated free at all. Now, again, you can argue, why did he get 11 years to begin with? I don't know. I don't know the circumstances of the case, but that would be the only argument as to why did he end up with 11 years for murder. Perhaps, again, his age has something to do with it, 17 years old. I don't know. But this is just an illustration as to why individuals protect their homes, particularly these days. They have weapons. We see it on TikTok, Instagram, and the like, where these, younger people, it always seems to be, for the most part, are breaking into a home, trying to break into a home, attempting to break into a home. And the owner of the home, the owner of the residence, comes out and unalives all 3 or 2 of them or what have you. Because they have weapons and they're protecting their homes, man. And they're protecting their children and their family. Just saying, I mean, here you have a situation where, this is a father, a husband, there with his wife and his 2 children. Protect yourself, protect your home. I'm not saying that, I'm not blaming him, because maybe even if he had a weapon, there was nothing that he can do. The dude just come in blazing and all. I mean, like he said, they were not in survival mode. They at the house chilling. You're not expecting anything like this. I get it. But I don't know if he had a weapon or not. I'm just saying, for everyone that's watching, this is why people have them in their home, to protect their home, to protect their life, protect their wives' life, and protect their children's life at all costs. By any means necessary. You come breaking in, you're done. And that's why you see some of these dudes getting blown up out of houses that they running into. And no one has really been feeling sorry for them, because, leave people alone, leave people's stuff alone, leave people's houses alone, leave people's family alone.
Outcome is quiet. Follow the gap. An assault, a reported contraband phone, and a reported Facebook Live brag is the kind of allegation that sounds open and shut to the public. If it still ends in no charges, that gap is the failure point. Proof issues, priorities, or paperwork collapse. The collateral victims are the warning label. Shannon wasn't part of it. He was there for work. When a case produces collateral victims, that's not just tragedy, it's evidence that the risk wasn't contained. That's why these failures are a community problem. If you want accountability in cases like this, don't just ask who did it. Ask who had the power to add time, and why didn't it happen? Until next time, remember, when the system...
It's not about adding time. It's not about who had the power to add time. because let's focus on rehabilitation. If anything, no matter how much time someone does, if they are not rehabilitated, then you can expect more of the same from them once they come home, whether it's 9 years or 90 years. So it's not the time that he did. Perhaps these 3 lives would have been spared. It would have been a different time that he came home, and it just would have been another 3 lives. Someone else. Because it's the mindset that needs to change, and that doesn't necessarily come with time. Some people go in prison and change within months and say, this is it, I'm changing my life, and that's it. It doesn't take a lifetime to make that decision. His decision was to continue this way of treachery, this way of life, and, it takes a callous person, in my estimation, to take someone's life in front of children, particularly the child's parents, right in front of the children, right in front, whoa. And I'm still unclear myself as to why exactly it happened. Was it a robbery gone bad? The officer, during her interview or press conference, said that she believed it to be drug related or based on trafficking there or what have you. But I don't know. On one hand, it seemed like he may have known them and known the family, or they said that he saw some posts on Facebook, whatever. It looked like he went there and had an argument first and talked to him, maybe asking about the money. So perhaps he didn't know him. Maybe it was just not even a drug deal. I mean, I don't know. Was he selling out of his apartment with his kids there? No. They said that he was flossing money or what have you on Facebook. That's what caused the dude to run up in there. Oh, man. Either way, rest in peace to those people. Either way, whatever the reason, whatever happened, they lost their lives in front of their children. And their children would never be the same, obviously, witnessing this. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Stay safe and stay free, people.